Okay, so welcome to our final taking action for the Office for Global Engagement. We're excited to have as our guests members of the Orem Rotary and members of our UVU Rotaract Club. My name is Amy Barnett, and I am the Program Director for Global Events and Hosting at UVU, and it's my pleasure to be able to host this final Taking Action event, virtual event for us today. The format of the presentation today will be a little bit different than we've done in the past. We are going to, I'll just go through briefly and introduce the speakers. Then they will proceed with their presentations. And then if there's any questions, please feel free to indicate in the comments section of the chat on Facebook, and we'll do our best to take a look at those and ask any of those additional questions. So the focus today is the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goal number 15, Life on Land. And this was a wonderful collaboration with Orem Rotary. If you didn't catch it, we did have a great service project up the canyon this past Saturday. I saw both of these men there, and Yana and Dr. Abdrisaev, and it was a wonderful event. It was perfect weather, and there were a lot of pickaxes flowing or thrailing dirt around and lots of garbage being picked up. So I'm sure that the grounds look beautiful. So in commemoration of Earth Day week, which is this whole week, we've picked this day to kind of focus on that, and we will let our guest kind of describe how what they do relates to that, and also just to the as a whole entity of what they do. So we don't want to just narrow it down to only Earth Day, but that will be the primary focus of what we're going with. So to get started, Dean Robinson, who is, let me just pull this up quickly. He is the president of Rotaract, of Orem Rotary, and he is going to begin with his presentation, and we'll just flow into we'll just kind of go seamlessly into the next one, which will be Clark Merkley, who is the current assistant governor of Rotary and a former president. Following Clark will be Dr. Baktybek Abdrisaev. He is our resident everything SDGs and mountains at UVU. And in addition to that, he's the advisor for UVU Rotaract. He also advises the UIMF, the Utah International Mountain Forum group of students who do a lot of collaborations with our office. And he is a faculty here on campus. So following Dr. Abdrisaev, we'll have the president of UVU Rotaract, which is Yana Andersen. And we'll just, like I say, any questions that come through, we'll do our best to answer those, but we'll just let them take the wheel and go for it. So Dean Robinson, why don't I have you introduce a little bit more about yourself before you start your presentation, and we'll ask all the other presenters to do the same, just to give us a little more background. Thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you, Amy, and it's a pleasure to be with you all today. As was mentioned, my name is Dean Robinson. Professionally, I am a general dentist here in Provo. I've been in practice for nearly 34 years. I'm married, have 4 children. They're basically all adults and grown now. We have 8 grandchildren, and we have loved living here in Utah Valley and working here for a number of years. I've been involved with the Orem Rotary Club for about 32 years. And have really enjoyed my time to be able to serve and share friendships and be a part of Rotary. Rotary International is about 115 years old, I believe. It was begun by a gentleman in Chicago who wanted a way to socialize and build up networks and friends and interact with people. And so he started the group in Chicago. It's now grown. It's throughout the world. There are about 1.2 million Rotary members, as well as hundreds of thousands of Rotaractors and Interactors, which are the college age and high school age youth and young adults. And so it's grown. It's a large organization. It is world renowned for the service that it gives. As an NGO, they can get into places that government and religion often can't. Rotary has had an evolution of sorts over the years. It evolves to fit the needs of things that are going on in the world. And they have traditionally, for quite a number of years, had 6 areas of focus that included clean water and women's health and children education and economies and different things like that. But in the last several years, they've added a 7th area of focus, which is protecting the environment. And since this week we are celebrating Earth Day, which is tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit about Rotary's involvement with Earth Day and Earth Week and the environment things that we're involved with. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. I want to give a thanks to Dr. Abdrisaev for helping me with the PowerPoint, because I am a dinosaur that came along before computers, and that's not my forte. And then all the others that have helped me. So we'll see if I can share my screen here and see if we can make this work. Okay, so am I showing what I need to at this point? How do I get rid of the stuff over on the left, or does that just
So
stay
that's
there?
where you hit the play, right?
Well, the
Is that what
play
you
is
did
up
last
at
time?
the top, and so, okay, there we go. Okay, now I better change my gallery view because it's going to cover up some of my PowerPoint. Now I can't see my mouse. Let's get my, well, maybe that'll work. I don't know.
You could leave it like this if you need, whatever
Okay,
works
there
best
we
for you.
go.
Okay.
That should do me now. So International Earth Day is sort of what we're celebrating today. It's a privilege to be here. Earth Day originated 51 years ago on the 22nd of April in 1970. It launched a wave of action by people who wanted to protect the environment, including trying to pass some legislation and work on things here in the United States to be more eco-friendly and take good care of this valuable resource where we live. Over the years, other countries have joined in, as you can see on the screen there. And every year since, so for 51 years, they've celebrated Earth Day on the 22nd of April. And so in connection with that, we are doing some celebrating here of ourselves. As it says here on the slide, Rotarians have been shaping the conversation on the environment for a lot of years. Even before this most recent emphasis on protecting the environment, they have had lots of projects trying to deliver clean water and healthy situations to people throughout the world, and also fight against pollution and damages to our water and our airs. And so Rotary has an army of individuals that are committed to doing good in the world, and part of what we do is to try and help the environment. We have connections with many different businesses and government resources that we take advantage of in order to promote these goals. Within Rotary, Rotary International, which is the worldwide governing body, they have a specialty group called the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. And Rotary likes an acronym, so it's an ESRAG. This group has a committee that assists Rotary clubs, which are individual clubs within a city, districts, which in our case, the District of Utah, so it's all the Rotary clubs in the state of Utah, and multiple districts that join together for a common cause. And some of the goals that this action group is addressing is they want to build awareness, inspire action, and plan service projects that focus on helping our environment and fighting climate change and some of the greenhouse gas emissions that are believed to be quite a problem at this point in time. As I said, Rotary has sort of adopted a new 7th area of focus, which is involved protecting the environment. And over the last 5 years, Rotary has given out over $18.5 million in global grants going toward helping environmental causes. And those also have been centered around protecting and restoring land, coastal, marine, and freshwater resources. Also enhancing support of natural resources and management and conservation. Also supporting sustainable agriculture, fishing, and aquaculture, which has been a growing area in the last several years. Also, they support educational activities to protect the environment. They advocate for the world's economies to use their resources more efficiently, and are trying to support the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. So these are some of the goals and the causes that Rotary International is involved with on a worldwide scale. There's a few examples of just some of the small little sampling of things that are going on throughout the world. This is a picture of the Rotaract students in Holland. It says the Dutch Rotarians, so I imagine that it's there in Amsterdam. Yeah, it says it is. They've had projects to try and clean up the plastic waste along their canal systems, and doing everything that they can to educate and work on getting recycling going and take away the long-term effects of having plastic garbage left around. In Germany, some of the German Rotaract clubs and other sponsoring Rotary clubs have been working on a project to try and help the bees in their environment. I have a neighbor who's a beekeeper and loves to do that as a hobby. We actually used to have a beekeeper in our Rotary club, and I know that there have been a lot of issues with those who are trying to keep our bees healthy and alive. And bees play a very important role in pollinating our fruits and vegetables, and also because of pesticides and other different things, they've had a devastating decade or so recently. So there are groups that are trying to put together things to help the bees. This is a picture of a program that's represented down in Colombia, I believe, in connection with a group from California, where they're trying to reduce food waste. And wholesalers of the different foods generate a bunch of organic waste every day that goes unused. And under some of the grants that have been set up, they're trying to develop a center where they will educate people on food handling and processing, while creating not only employment opportunities, but eliminating some of the waste that's just inherent in our food supply system at this time. So those are just some ideas of things that are, like I say, a small sampling of things that are going on throughout the world with Rotary and Earth Day. Amy mentioned earlier, we had a service project Saturday, and the Orem Rotary Club joined with the Utah Valley University Rotaract Club, as well as those from the Office of Global Engagement, and anyone else that wanted to come and participate. And we had a wonderful 2-hour service project up at the Mount Timpanogos Park at the mouth of Provo Canyon. And it started off a little chilly, but as we all started to work, we all got warm pretty quickly. And really, I think we can feel good about the efforts that we did. And so I've got some slides here that also, again, Dr. Abdrisaev has been gracious to take these pictures and share them with me. So just going to rifle through some of them now and sort of show some of the fun that was had by those that were there. So this is a picture of Max Dahman and some of his family. He's a Rotarian, and they went throughout the hillsides cleaning up trash and extra litter that was spread all over the area. This is a picture of Andrew Caldwell, a member of our UVU Rotaract Club, and some of the trash that he had collected that day. This shows Amy was involved in this area with some of us, and we were trying to take out some unwanted shrubs and replace them with a new variety that they wanted. And boy, the roots on those things went everywhere, and we had to work pretty hard just to try and clear the little bit of foliage that we wanted to get out of there. But that was a fun thing to be doing and working on. That's where the pickaxes were flying that she was talking about. Here's some more UVU Rotaractors that were just as they were getting ready to go out for the day and collect trash and do the other things that they were going to do. It really is fun to get together and give service. And I think that was the key to our happiness today. There's Amy as she was working hard. We were using sawzalls and pruners and shovels and picks and rakes and everything we could to try and get these shrubs out of that planting bed area. Here's some more Rotaractors. I'll make an attempt at pronouncing his name. Abdulrahman Al-Ghanmi and Cody Conklin. And they came and put in a good effort and helped us out throughout the morning as well. DJ Smith is a longtime Rotarian. There's just a picture of him and some of the trash that he had collected that morning. And Natalie Oakson is another member of our Rotary Club. She brought her children up and they were involved doing everything that they could for the time that they were there. And here's sort of a combined group of some of the Rotaractors and those that joined with them that day that were doing cleanup in the area. And sort of to summarize things, to my knowledge, we had 33 volunteers. Like I say, we were there for about 2 hours, so there was over 60 hours of service that was given. This is not all the trash that was collected, but it's a picture of most of the debris that was taken out of the flower beds and planting beds and stuff, and then the trash was over in a separate area. But those of us that were there tried to get an estimate and figured that was probably at least 750 pounds of trash and debris that we removed out as a group that day. So that was really a fun thing to do. We look forward to partnering with the Rotaract students as well as the Rotarians and families in other projects throughout the year. This was an emphasis for Earth Day to get out and spend some time not only helping the environment, but spending some time together doing a good fellowship and friendshiping time. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Yes,
but
actually, Dean, we do have a couple of questions that came across. You had initially mentioned when you were talking about the international agenda and some of the things that were being done internationally about the food waste issue. And we have a question on our chat there that said, to what extent does food waste contribute to global conflict? What is your take on that? Or maybe one of the other people could speak to that.
I wouldn't be an authority on that.
Maybe Dr. Abdrisaev might have a feeling about the global aspect.
Would you like me to say now?
Yes, why don't you go ahead and enter?
You know, this is also an important issue, and there are institutions at the United Nations which are looking at it, especially Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in Rome, with which our university is working really very closely. Food insecurity is now a growing problem, and all around the world because of the not only food waste, but not enough food in certain parts of the world. And when we are promoting the sustainable mountain development, and in particular sustainable development among the mountain communities, according to the FAO 2015, they're telling the story that how that food insecurity is growing exponentially, in particular in the areas where those communities are working. And it's a huge issue, huge problem. That's why it needs to be taken into account and taken care of. But in developed countries, this needs to be also taken care of as well. You see, not only in the United States, we see how now China is paying attention to that. Special programs taking care of, again, educating the people not to waste the food, which is becoming now a security issue.
Great, thank you, thanks, Dr. Abdrisaev, for introducing that topic.
You're welcome.
Following up. Okay, are you still have a little bit?
Also,
Dean?
if you want me to add just a little bit, this is not specifically a Rotary initiative, but we have noticed right here in the state of Utah, through the COVID pandemic, there were a lot of food distribution problems that occurred. There were farmers who had produce that they couldn't really harvest and get to the people to sell. And then there were obviously a lot of unemployed people that overwhelmed the food pantries. And we've seen on the news and a lot of different things where just people wanting to do the best they can, that the farmers have joined together in a cooperative to provide resources that were going to go to waste, and they're just giving those things away so that their food isn't going to waste, and yet people aren't starving or wondering where their next meal is coming from. As Beck said, food insecurity is a big thing. If you're a parent or a mother and you're not able to feed your children, it is a big concern. And so that's even right here in the state of Utah, where we would consider ourselves pretty economically independent and doing quite well compared to vast majorities of the world. So
thank you for that, Dean. Did you have any more of your presentation, or you summed it up? All right, great. We'll just go ahead, turn the time over to Clark Merkley. Do you want to introduce yourself? Thank you, Dean.
Thanks, Amy. So I'm Clark Merkley. I am one of the assistant district governors for the Rotary district in Utah that consists of about 40 clubs all over the state that are involved in local service, participate in some international service projects, and I'm also a past president of the Orem Rotary Club. And I have a special attachment to Earth Day. So Dean mentioned that in April of 1970, the very first Earth Day was celebrated, and I'm old enough to remember that. And the reason that I got involved was my father was a biology professor at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa for 40 years. And so he was the freshwater biology professor, and his research involved doing measurements of the impact of primarily thermal, meaning power plant pollution, and also other pollution of the water along the Des Moines River. And so what he would do is he would put out these little rotisserie baskets filled with cement balls, and the invertebrate biology would attach themselves to those. So if you've seen caddisflies or mayflies, or if you've ever walked up and down the Provo River, picked up a rock and looked at the bottom, you can see the aquatic insects that are there. And he would measure the impact of a large power plant. In Iowa, there's a lot of agricultural additives, fertilizers and pesticides and other things that go into the water supply in addition to animal waste. And he would measure the aquatic insects, both their length and weight and the variety of species, based on the pollution that went along the Des Moines River. And so as a young early teen, preteen, I had a chance to work in his lab helping with those research projects. And when Earth Day rolled around in 1970, there was a very small celebration of that day on the Drake University campus. And of course, nobody knew that 51 years later, this would be not only an international event, but an international movement. Back then, it was interesting. I collected baseball cards and football cards as a young man, but there was a time when there were trading cards associated with global climate change. And it's kind of funny because I don't have the cards anymore, but the cards were about global cooling. And so they showed what different parts of the United States were going to look like as the scientists imagined in the year 2000 or in the year 2025. And they were all these blizzards and snowstorms, and things were buried. And people were migrating south because of the cooling temperatures in the north. And so we've now come to a time when global warming is the scientific consensus of the day. And my father would tell me, there's definitely climate change because we're still coming out of the last ice age. So as you see glaciers retreat and things happen, there is always going to be climate change going on. And the question is, what are humans doing to either remedy that or to make it worse? And those of us who've lived in the Utah County area for a long time, you might remember what it looked like back in the 60s and 70s and 80s when the Geneva steel plant was in full operation. I remember coming from Salt Lake and driving into Utah Valley, and you could not see the other end of the valley because of the smoke and the You know, and it was kind of fun to drive by Geneva because you could see the steel, hot steel, molten steel pouring off the side of the hill, and the smokestacks just pumping out lots of smoke. So we've come a long way in Utah County, both with the clean air and the clean water, and it's nice to see people taking stewardship over the earth. The other thing that happened in 1970 is I got this really cool pair of Earth Day socks that were green and white striped socks. And I you know, obviously I lost those at some point along the way, or they wore out. So I wore my, you know, the best I could do for my Earth Day shirt for the day, and also a beautiful background of Provo Canyon with Bridal Veil Falls. And just to echo what Dean said, and what I'm sure we'll hear Yana talk a little bit about, just how wonderful it was to get up in Provo Canyon and, you know, see the natural beauty and then do something to help preserve it. And I've been a longtime user of the Provo River Trail, ridden my bike up there and jogged up and down that trail many times. And it was really fun to walk along the trail, not as a user, and, you know, and I will have to confess some of my sins. On some long runs, I think I threw some packets of goo after I'd consumed them alongside of the Provo River Trail for people like us to pick up. So I apologize for that, but I did my part picking up trash along the way. I want to talk a little bit about this great long-standing tradition between UVU and the Orem Rotary Club. So one of our longtime members, DJ Smith, who you saw a picture of there that Dean showed, he was the assistant athletic director at UVU for 29 years and has been a longtime Rotarian. And a part of that partnership between Rotary and UVU athletics, they have supported us in fundraisers. We had a golf tournament that we did for many, many years, and athletes from the UVU sports teams would come and help us with that. And we were grateful for their support, and we were returned that support by providing scholarship support to UVU athletics. And we've always had that close connection. More recently, when Dr. Abdrisaev came on board as a member of our club and was the faculty advisor for the Rotaract Club, we've seen lots of opportunities for cooperation between UVU, the Rotaract Club, the Utah International Mountain Forum, and others in providing local service and doing some really amazing work. So a couple of years ago, we had a UVU student, Hannah Beekert, who made a presentation to the United Nations. And we had the opportunity as an Orem Rotary Club to hear her present and talk about her experiences, and then go on to present at the United Nations in New York. And so we were supportive of that. We provided her some financial support so that she could go and do that and represent not only Utah Valley University, but also on behalf of the Rotaract Club and the Orem Rotary Club. The other thing that happened that was really remarkable, we got a chance to work with the UVU Global Engagement Office, and in hosting the 68th Annual Civil Society Conference in Salt Lake City back in, I'm going to go, I think it's August of 2019, you know, it's pre-pandemic, way back then when we could actually get together in large groups like that.
It was August of 2019.
Yep, August of 2019. And so people from all over the world came to Salt Lake City, and this was the first time this conference had ever been held in the United States outside of New York City. There have been some other international locations for this national, or the non-governmental organization civil society conference, but, you know, to be able to host these people and in Salt Lake City and do so in such a wonderful way. So I had a chance to work on the committee with the Global Engagement Office at UVU, and we presented, I believe there were 4 or 5 different presentations that we made to the official civil society conference. Some were made by the Rotaractors as they talked about service projects that they'd done in Mexico and other places, and some were made by Rotarians to talk about the importance of cooperating across governmental, institutional, religious lines to get important service work done. And as Dean mentioned, that's really one of the great beauties of Rotary, is that members of Rotary exist in every country of the world. And when something needs to happen in a local place, local Rotarians, often with the support of Rotarians from around the world, make that happen. And so that was a great example of the cooperation that we've seen between Utah Valley University, the Rotaract Club, and Orem Rotary. And more recently, we've been involved in celebrating World Polio Day in cooperation with UVU, and also this wonderful service project that we just did on Saturday, where yeah, it was really cold and chilly when we first jumped out of our cars, but you know, as we got moving around, and our hearts were warmed and our bodies were warmed by doing great service. So wonderful to have that cooperation between UVU that has such a vision for global engagement and student engaged learning, and also an opportunity for those of us that care about our local community and making it a wonderful place to live, to be involved. So thank you to UVU, to the Global Engagement Office, to the Rotaract Club, and to the Orem Rotary members for working cooperatively to make these great things happen. And we know that many of the great service projects that happen involving care and stewardship over the environment are often very small events, individual choices we make, small groups getting together to do great things, and then generating enthusiasm for others to get involved. And by doing that together, we can collectively protect the environment that we enjoy. So thanks for having me today, and I'll turn the time over to Dr. Abdrisaev.
Amy, do you have any questions?
Other than just to echo what both Clark and Dean have said about the interaction, since I've been working with them these past few years, and we have done this several World Polio Day. My mother suffers from polio, and it was really close to my heart to see the efforts that were made, and to see those individuals that this is still an issue, and in many countries it's an issue. So I really appreciated that. And also, I'm a fan, if not maybe as big as Clark, of the Provo River Trail, and so I'm out there pretty much every weekend as well. So I don't think I've thrown any goo on the side of the road, though. I'm not a runner. But it sure makes you more aware, doesn't it? When you go into a project like that, it does make you more aware and cognizant of just what you do to impact your environment. So appreciate that. All right, Dr. Abdrisaev,
Okay. First of all, I would like also on behalf of our colleagues to express appreciation to the Office of Global Engagement, not only to Amy, but also to Dr. Laga for hosting today's event. And this is also a remarkable event, which allows for us to highlight our achievements during probably a couple of years, where each of my colleagues here contributed so much of their energy, love, life, and due to that we could see effectiveness, practical results, and enjoyment for all of us as well. Yeah, this is quite remarkable. And I'm teaching here at Utah Valley University since 2005, will be 15 years. And one of my, again, great probably lessons which I was able to learn, you know, that student engaged learning, this is something quite revolutionary, which makes the academic experiences, and especially for the teachers, absolutely on a new level of quality and discovery, like for Newton, yeah? Boom, with the apple, and you see that the new type of the quality. Yeah? So for me, it was a great discovery, you know, when I found out that if you would be able to convince students to work together as a group, to find certain rubric, certain incentives, and if they will start to teach each other how to approach a certain practical issue, and you will be not interfering, not micromanaging, not just pushing them what to do, but gently from time to time asking certain questions, they would be able to come to the right solution on their own. And by the way, what is also great in that experience, in particular at Utah Valley University, that we have more than 30% of our students who are non-traditional. It means many of them are already at age from 25 to 75 years old, and they could teach even me so much about what I'm teaching through the different angle. The only thing which they are missing is the diploma. When if they will have a diploma, they'll be like equal. Yeah, that's why since 2011, when we created this coalition of student clubs, Utah International Mountain Forum, students were able through this coalition to focus on this type of the approach in order to work on sustainable development issues, and in particular sustainable development issues in mountain communities, which is again the agenda which is promoted by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And because of my previous, again, affiliations with them, whatever, I was able to get connected with United Nations, some kind of activities with what is remarkable here at the grassroots level in Utah, and in particular at Utah University, and in specifically also dual mission of this university. Why? Because it's remarkable to have a university which is since 1941 is focusing on the interest and goals which are important for the local communities, and helping for those local communities train, retrain, get accommodated to that market forces. And at the same time, for those students who are, again, willing to provide also education which allow for them to get to the master's programs all around this nation and globally. Yeah, it's remarkable both ways. Therefore, UIMF, since that time, also focusing on the not only promoting of the United Nations goal, but also using this as a springboard in order to share with the rest of the world the unique model which exists, economic model which exists in Utah. A very unique model which was created since the time of the first pioneers. And for me, it was also interesting to study that. Why? Because I'm originally from the Kyrgyz Republic, which is a mountainous country, and still struggling with its own founding, with identifying the right model and right approach, how to handle it, market principles and democratic institutions building. So in Utah, this is one of the great examples how to do that, and students are able to promote among their peers on a local level, national, and also United Nations. And it's not only about saying that what is really great in Utah. There are certain problems also here, like with water management, or for example, with the air quality, whatever. And here it would be possible to share those experiences with the rest of the world. Yeah. And what also I found out in that experience is important with student engagement, that it's not only working jointly as a group, but one of the important focuses needs to be for us as the teachers to get connected with the local communities. And this was the idea where we found out the necessity for us to find one of the local institutions and NGOs who are really good and prominent in that. That's why Orem Rotary came in a natural way. Really in a good way, became as one of the partners for Utah University. And I'm grateful here for the support from the Office of Global Engagement, and also Clark and other colleagues who, again, were interested in joining that partnership and start to work together. By the way, I have to mention that before already had an experience of dealing with the Rotarians, and because of our again connections with the some of the members of Rotary, District Rotary, and one of the students of my students, Angie Jackson, she was the Rotarian and at the same time my student. And once she also suggested, why not for us to get Rotarians involved? So in 2016, for the first time, we hosted the International Mountain Day at the Utah University, where the several Rotarians came from the district Rotary, led by the at that time Governor Scott Lakeman. So they shared with us experiences with polio eradication in India, their partnership with the Rotarians in Japan, and many projects which they have here in Utah. And this was again some kind of point from which we started to think about it, reviving the activities of Rotaract. And then 2017 and further, we already moved in that direction. But what is happening now, really remarkable. Again, the emphasis on this involvement of the students in such type of partnership with the local communities. And Orem Rotary is representing now this type of ideal partnership where they're treating Rotaractors not like, someone who needs to be just mentored. No, it's much bigger. Already the Rotaractors are considered as partners with whom to share the burden of, for example, during the service projects, and at the same time to every month to host certain activities jointly together. And due to that, Rotaractors are providing skills and experiences where, for example, Rotarians are needed the support, and from the Rotarians, wisdom, resources, funds are provided. And therefore, we could see an amazing partnership, which again allowing for us to have a great enthusiasm from both sides. Yeah? You see how during the service projects we had a synergy, and so many students came not only from that Utah Valley University but also from BYU, which gives us an opportunity to think how to make sure that Rotaractors now will be more proactive and will be again contributing to those activities with improving the lives of the local communities more in an effective way. And therefore, what is happening, I think it's quite revolutionary for all of us. And we don't know yet what kind of other results could we expect. Why? For example, I know that 6 goals which Rotary is promoting, they're coinciding also with certain disciplines which are teaching at universities. And I am sure that we could also talk to some of our colleagues who are again dealing with the health issues and whatever, and could find more new connections here. Therefore, what is again happening here, it's really great, goes beyond that the issues of the Earth Day or specific project, but more and more building this networking opportunity and partnership where Rotary and Rotaract are becoming like inseparable Siamese twins, if we're saying that way. And it's also in line with the now Rotary International new policies, where the Rotaractors are considered as the Rotarians as well, not just a club, a student club under the university or young people, but already as Rotarians, and maybe within a couple of years, there will be also equal treatment in that direction. Therefore, I have to say that what is also happening, it's a remarkable example of our progress. By the way, we have already during last probably how many 6 or 7 months at the Orem Rotary regularly events hosted by the Orem Rotary jointly with the Office of for Global Engagement UVU, but which is moderated and managed by the Rotaractors. And what is this? This is engaged learning on the already level of that state here, as you could see. Students already engaged in a full-fledged way, both with the UVU administrators, faculty, and others, and also with the local community as well. So remarkable partnership and remarkable examples. And I have also to express my personal thanks to the members of the Orem Rotary, who since the beginning never again provided for us unwavering support from many of those members. And today already Dean and Clark mentioned about DJ Smith or another Roger Lewis, one of the oldest, members. By the way, he was the founder of the Orem Rotary here, and it is a great opportunity for our Rotaractors to get interact with them on the regular basis and continue those traditions, and at the same time to be more effective with the not only promoting certain goals, sustainability with Utah, but also serving those communities based on those traditions which were already established, not only by our Rotarians, but also 45 years ago, as Dean said, yeah? Since the moment when for the first time Rotary International was created by the founder of the Rotary International Chicago as well. Yeah? Thank you much.
Thank you, Dr. Abdrisaev. So finally, we're excited to hear from Yana. She has been a very active Rotaract president. Our interactions with them have just kind of been through the past couple of years, and maybe something, Yana, as you do your presentation, you can also speak to how other students can be involved. What's the best method to be involved with you? And we'll let you. We have another 5 or 6 minutes, so please take what you need, and we go over as well. So thanks, Yana.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Amy. I also just want to express my gratitude to the UVU Office for Global Engagement for all the work that they do, and as well as to Orem Rotary. We could not do what we do as Rotaractors without the support of both of these groups. So thank you so much. And I haven't been around as long as Clark has, but I'm very excited to be here celebrating Earth Day and to have this opportunity to kind of speak for a few minutes at this Taking Action event. I love that this is the event that we're speaking at, because taking action is such really describes what Rotary does. So UVU Rotaract is under the umbrella of Utah International Mountain Forum, which is a coalition of clubs here at Utah Valley University, which Dr. Abdrisaev and a few others have spoken about. And it's interesting because UIMF does a lot of advocacy work for women in mountain communities. And I really think UVU Rotaract is the action side of that advocacy work. So not only do we work to advocate, but we really like to back that up with action and really make tangible difference in our community. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of talk about what UVU Rotaract has done over this past school year. And then, like Amy said, how students can get involved. So kind of going back a little bit, we specifically because we're a part of UIMF, we kind of have found the sweet spot where Rotary International's goals and then the United Nations sustainable goals for sustainable development kind of overlap, because they do a lot of similar work. And so over the past year, even though there's been a pandemic, we've still tried to be pretty active, both in advocacy and in service. Some of the projects that we've gotten to do, like a few of the speakers have mentioned, we were able to put on a completely virtual World Polio Day event here at UVU this past October. And like Amy said, that's extremely meaningful because it's not to get to raise awareness about an issue, but we get to celebrate that so many millions of people have been able to be free from that potential harm because of the work that Rotary International has done. And now it's really amazing to see, because I think there's only cases left in, correct me if I'm wrong, but Afghanistan and Pakistan, I believe, are the only two countries where there's cases even left in the world. And so since the 1970s and 1980s, Rotary International has raised enormous amounts of money and gone and done service specifically in those places, administering vaccines. And so it's really a blessing, because I'm a direct, I benefit directly from that work that they've done, as well as so many of us. So it was really wonderful to raise awareness about that event and sort of invite others to be aware of how they can contribute to these sort of global causes, whether it's, financially or in their own communities. So it was really wonderful to be a part of that event. And we really try to be involved locally in the community, as you can see with our involvement with Orem Rotary. One of my favorite events that we got to do is we got to hear from a few Rotaractors, got to join Orem Rotary for lunch, and we got to hear from Utah's Republican Congressman John Curtis, and so he was able to come and speak to us, and that was set up entirely by a UIMF member. And so that was really impressive to me, just an example of how these connections that we're making in the community and with local leaders really help us to get involved in really what's actually happening in our community, not just learning through textbooks, but we really use that student engaged learning model to deal with real community issues, with real world issues, and to make those networking connections with local leaders. So that was one of my favorite events, to kind of hear from him and to get to be with Orem Rotary during that. Another thing we got to work on, which was probably also one of my favorite things, was the Codes for Kids initiative. And so here, something that Orem Rotary does every year is they raise funds and then they collect coats for kids locally here in Orem, because obviously here in Utah it gets pretty cold during winter time, and there's some families who able to provide like a warm, nice coat for their children is a big financial burden. And so we got to work with, Orem Rotary worked with local elementary schools to kind of identify what those needs looked like in terms of numbers, and to raise and to bring coats to those elementary schools so they could provide them to their students who were really in need. And that was personally really meaningful for me, because again, it was not just hearing about important issues, but it was really getting to see that as you come together in a community as a group, that you really can provide something meaningful for another person who maybe otherwise couldn't provide it for themselves. So Orem Rotary was able to raise, I believe, around 150 coats they provided for different local elementary schools children here. So it was really fun. I got to be one of the people who came and delivered coats to a few of the elementary schools, and it was really touching to see how grateful the faculty and staff and students were about it. And then over the past couple of months, UB Rotaract has been able to work with UIMF to host a parallel, or to participate in a parallel at the United Nations 65th Commission on the Status of Women conference that they hold each year. This event was entirely virtual, obviously because of the pandemic, but it was really, really wonderful to be able to be involved. The UVU Office of Global Engagement helped to host. Clark actually was one of the presenters at the event. So again, thank you for both of your organizations for what you did so we could participate. And that was really wonderful. At that event, each of the students, and there were several Rotaractors there, I want to say at least 5 or 6 of the students who presented were Rotaract members. And over the past semester, we've been able to do our own personal research about issues that different mountain women face. And so we got to present kind of our research and our findings. So there was everything from deforestation in Nepal and how women play a crucial role in sort of supporting like earth challenges that they face there, and environmental challenges that they face there. We heard about mountain women in Georgia. We had a couple of students from Saudi Arabia, and they were able to really, like on a really personal level, advocate for those issues that the mountain women in their life have faced. And so that was really powerful and meaningful. And it was cool for me because I got to speak on sort of how actually Rotary International, and then specifically Utah Rotary and Orem Rotary, have made a difference in the lives of mountain women and mountain communities here in Utah. And so that was really wonderful to get to speak on. And even in preparation for that event, we got to do some more service. So we worked with Orem Rotary, and we helped to raise funds for local service projects here. And the way we did that was by selling oranges. So we got to fundraise. So we got to go around to neighbors, families, and friends and invite them to participate in this really wonderful cause. So together with Orem Rotary, I want to say around $5,600 were raised, and all that money gets to go right back into the community and supporting families and local needs here, and which is also really meaningful because we get to, like I've been saying, we get to not just talk about things, but we get to really make an impact, and it's really valuable for us when we get to see that it's measurable and that people are really benefiting from the work that we're doing. And so And then most recently, like has been mentioned, we got to last Saturday of the 17th, we were able to go and provide some service at Timpanogos Park in Provo Canyon. I was one of the people who went around and picked up litter, which is actually just in general, it's one of my favorite ways to give service. So I was so excited for this to be the service project that we were doing. And it was really powerful to see people coming together who normally like especially getting to see UVU Rotaractors, BYU students, members of Orem Rotary, like the the Office for Global Engagement here. It was fun to see everyone come together and kind of contribute to a cause higher than each of what we are individually. And I think that's really what being a member of UVU Rotaract has become for me, is contributing to something a little higher than I am on my own, and showing me that the impact we can have as we come together, young, older, like what non-traditional students, traditional students, wherever we're at in life, as we come together, we can really make a valuable impact both in our communities as well as raise awareness about these issues globally. And so that's kind of what UV Rotaract has done this year, and we plan to continue to be even more involved, continue to work with Orem Rotary and the UV Office for Global Engagement. So I would encourage any student who are interested in joining potentially, you can reach out to, let's see, Beck, what do you think would be the best place to have students reach out to?
I think that still you and Dylan, probably.
Okay,
yeah?
perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe we can, is there a way for you to post in the chat, like the Facebook?
Yes.
Because maybe what I'll do is I'll send you our emails and then you can post that. So
Yes.
if there's
Not a problem.
anyone
Please do. Yeah, please do. I'd be happy to. And also anybody can stop by our office if they've got a question, and we can put them in contact with whoever,
Mhm.
with you or with someone else from the Rotaract. So
My email is also could be good.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll go
Working.
ahead and post those
we'll
in the
put that
chat
into
then.
the Facebook chat. Yeah.
Mhm.
Perfect. Thank you, Amy. So and thank you again for all of your help and your work. And we're just really excited to continue to use the student-engaged learning model and to focus on Rotary International goals, United Nations goals, and really continue to increase our impact. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Yana, and everyone who's presented and taken their time today. Is there anyone who has any final comments or anything else to say before we conclude?
I'll share one, since polio was brought up, and it's a personal connection for you, Amy. Back in 1979, when the first global grant was issued to inoculate people in India, there were 235,000 polio cases every month in the world. We just heard yesterday that it's been 105 days since there's been any case of wild polio virus in the world. So even Afghanistan and Pakistan are now on the path to having that disease that impacted so many. And most of them we don't see here in the United States. I mean, Amy, your mom, but most of the people that were impacted are in their 70s, 80s, and older. And but this is it started so small and it seems so overwhelming, and yet people coming together to do great things. And I think when it comes to Earth Day, we can take that same approach. We know it seems like what we're doing is so small, but if we all work together and inspire each other, we can accomplish great things.
Thank you, Clark. Sorry, I thought of something and then I forgot. Basically, I really appreciate all the correlations that have been made between the efforts of the Rotary Club, Rotaract, and Utah International Mountain Forum, and the things that our office is doing to collaborate with the United Nations and to promote the Sustainable Development Goals, and how easy it is to make correlations between those 17 Sustainable Development Goals if you really just take a moment and think about it. And the Life on Land, how everything is interconnected between water, between mountains, between no poverty, between having a good existence and having quality of life. So I really appreciate all those correlations. And so just in closing, if I could, I just want to make a really great announcement. Well, first, this is the end of our Taking Action series, and we're not sure if we'll continue all of the virtual discussions forever, but they've been a really wonderful venue for us to record dialogues and discussions and have interesting people who've contributed to society and contribute to world events have that dialogue for everyone else to participate in or view later. So we're thankful for that, but we're excited to talk about an upcoming conference that we are collaborating again with United Nations. So the one that was mentioned earlier that we did a few years ago, this one is called The Decade of Action, Why It Matters. And it's as part of the Decade of Action for the Sustainable Development Goals. It's going to be held October 5th through the 7th of 2022. So we've got some time, but just to put it on your radar, if you start seeing things pop up around, the reason we're talking about it is because the call for papers and presentations has just opened April 15th. So we want people to be aware of this event and the collaborations with UVU. Literally a year and a half of work has gone into this, and Dr. Lago has been in the forefront in trying to get this thing started and continued. So the call for papers are now, it's open through November 2021. So there's several months. And on May 5th at 11 a.m., we're going to have another virtual event, and that will be to further promote the conference, talk about the research experience to those shared. We want students, academicians, NGOs, government agencies are all welcome to submit proposals. So it's open, but it is an academic conference, so keep that in mind. And check back on our Facebook page, our website. We'll have a lot of information. You can always review this event we're doing right now, either on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, or on our website, which is www.uvu.edu/global. So check us out there. And again, I just want to send my appreciation to all of you for participating in this event. And as Dr. Lago would always end, be global citizens and go out and do good. So thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.